Hello, this is Iolani Haleski. I'm the naturalist for St. Johns County Parks and Recreation. I'm standing with you right now at the entrance to the Arboretum at the amphitheater. We are and have been designing a wellness walk here, and it actually goes through the old trail where the Cross and Swords entrance to the amphitheater a long time ago is. And there's actually some old remnants of the Cross and Swords Trail. They used to have like ponds and all kinds of a big water wheel and all kinds of different creatures that used to be out there. So I'm gonna take you on a little bit of a virtual tour of what we have at the amphitheater and the wellness walk through St. Johns County Parks and Recreation. So I'm gonna turn the camera around, and as you see the parking lot, and we're gonna pan into the entrance. So the wellness walk kind of follows different symbols and ideas to plant in your mind, to where when you're walking you connect into a different state of being. So leaving the ordinary world from the parking lot into this natural world transitions, suggesting in your mind into a peaceful state. And so we come across our first symbol, if you may, which is a bridge. And just like in our lives, there are bridges that we all cross. As you can tell, you can't see the end of this bridge. It curves off to the right hand side. Different symbols, thinking about places that you have come from and where you are going, the place where you are currently standing, and the fact that you have intentions, but you may not know what happens when you get across those bridges. And so we encourage people when they walk across this bridge to think about where they have come from and where they are and where they're headed. And as you walk across this bridge, you may notice things like there are all kinds of different plants and birds and all kinds of different trees and different flowers blooming. We have like one right there. It's really beautiful. A little bit of a wetland. And on this side, you can barely see the parking lot through the trees. As we cross the bridge and end on the other side, we notice that the trail starts to go to an incline, and we're actually walking up and up and up to another place that's kind of the highest peak in this little area. Pay attention to a lot of different things. We have azaleas growing with the pink flowers. We have cabbage palm and oak trees. The old sand dunes this used to be is kind of turning into a hardwood forest, maritime forest maybe. And as we ascend to the higher parts of the trail, some of the foliage will change a little bit. Lots of lizards around scurrying about. I'm noticing there's not a whole lot of birds. It is around 10 o'clock in the morning, and it's kind of interesting because it wasn't but a few days ago this time there were birds everywhere, but today is pretty quiet. So we come to a T in the road. As we look down, it goes off into two different directions. There's actually a little bridge that goes over an old pond that used to be there. And if we look to our left, this is that highest peak I was talking about. So many different trees going on around here. Cedar trees and cabbage palm and all kinds of things. But we have here the old water wheel. So water was pumped up into here and had a huge wheel. It was mainly for just show, but water would ascend over the top of this and down into the water wheel into another like pond. It'd be neat to have a feature here. Japanese gardens have what they call a deer scarer, where they have a kind of a teeter-totter of water through bamboo, a very large bamboo, and as the bamboo fills up, it falls down as it empties and makes this loud sound, or more like a drum sound. It's really not that loud, but it kind of echoes. The neat thing about the idea with that is it would be only every 5 minutes or so you'd make it trickle to where it'd fill up, and it'd be a sudden sound, maybe bringing you to a sudden state of consciousness. If you pan over here, it has a exit that goes right by the bike rack. It's the entrance of the amphitheater. And over here you kind of get a little insight of what you're headed towards, which is a very, very big pond. So we're going to continue this direction to the T in the road. And many of our travels as we walk through life come to a crossroads where you get to decide directions. This direction actually leads around to the left, and there's a bathroom kind of gazebo around there. There are some ideas about what we can do as a resting place and a human interaction place over there, but we're going to head this direction. And you may notice if you look to your left and right, you'll see remnants of old waterfalls and the place where they actually had water going underneath. And this direction, you can kind of see some of the coquina shell walls that they had made and concreted in. An idea could be to fill it with gravel, almost like that Japanese garden again, so you can rake the small stones or maybe even sand. It is big enough that you could put a picnic table or something in this area, which would be pretty nice. Obviously some trimming of some of the trees. We also have steps and stairs going this way, which may be a great place for a bench instead of stairs. The path does continue this way, and all of this is wheelchair accessible up until you get to about this point in the road. Again, off to the right goes back to the bathroom and that gazebo, which you can see in the distance. And then heads this direction, which we are going towards that pond. Again, we're ascending up. If you find your day like today, where it's not a lot of people, it's a pretty nice, pleasant walk. And if you find your day with there are people, it's still a pleasant walk. And it's wide enough to where you can pass each other and not have any problems. There's a staircase leading downward to a quick access of the pond, which is behind those trees. We're going to head this direction a little ways into a place of, some people are calling it a little meditation spot. So as we go up and over the ridge line, we come down to a little bridge. It's just like the many bridges that we cross in our lives. And it has another place where water used to be pumped in and kind of goes around this area past the kunti plant. And there's a couple stones that somebody has recently put down there. It's kind of interesting. I'm going to step off the trail into this little, I don't know, it's kind of like a little sacred area. Be nice to have a couple benches or a single bench so people can kind of come here and be in nature and watch. There is a little bit of a flattened area that kind of goes around into a bowl shape. Beautiful area to kind of sit and meditate if that's what you're into, or just be quiet and be in nature. Kind of back up on here to the main trail. Something to consider: science has been doing a lot of study with cortisol levels, and we have found out that cortisol shows up when we are highly stressed out, or maybe not balanced in our thoughts, as far as being upset or angry or depressed. Cortisol level shows up in a big way. But if we can spend time in nature being quiet, and they say somewhere between 10 minutes to 20 minutes, we can reduce that stress emotion, and our cortisol level drops. Now, what happens when your cortisol level drops? The interesting thing that we have found out is your immune system has the ability to be boosted. And so they're saying now that just walking or being quiet or sitting mainly in a natural setting can reduce your cortisol level by huge amounts. We do know that cortisol is the lubricant that enables you to access your fight or flight levels. Basically, your adrenaline comes into the body, and cortisol allows you to access that, so you can make quick decisions for self-preservation. But if you're just walking in the woods or your every day-to-day life, that's not needed, and staying at a high stress or high cortisol level can actually cause more harm and definitely reduce your immune system. So all right, we have now come around the corner and we have made it to a very beautiful place that I've seen a lot of people come out here and look at all the turtles in the pond. Some people even have coined it the turtle pond. I'm not sure if it has an official name or not, but it has this nice little dock that you can come out and have some time of reflection. There's a turtle right there. And actually, as I stand here long enough, and if more people are walking on this, making the vibrations on the dock, the turtles will actually come over here. I think they've been being fed. I'm pretty sure they have. But it is a good place. Remember, water is in our bodies. 70% to 80% we are water. It is a good time for reflection and thinking about what you've learned on the trail. Again, it's very peaceful. We often look for water when we're looking in nature. So I'm gonna pan down here again. We have turtles coming right up to us, wondering if we're gonna drop some food. I guarantee it. It's really neat that this pond has so many layers. You can kind of see down a couple inches, but even a few feet down, there's a turtle emerging from the below depths. There's a lot of fish in this pond too, but they don't really come to surface. I've seen people throw food in the water and you'll see the very large fish come up. I see 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. There's about 20 turtles coming towards me right now, and I've only been here for a couple seconds, a few seconds, maybe less than a minute. Anyway, we're gonna head on, say goodbye to our turtle friends, go back on this path. And before, like I had shown you, the staircase leading down to the pond, it's right over there. and the path leading up to the back entrance where the employees actually come through to the amphitheater. You can see there's a gentleman sitting on a golf cart up there. They have a little guard station right here for when things are going on in the amphitheater. Just beyond that little golf cart is another trail that goes into the Anastasia Beach area. So it actually goes into the quarries where they used to mine the coquina for the different buildings and the castle and all that kind of stuff. It's a beautiful trail. It is not necessarily a part of the Arboretum. However, people have continued to use it, and it's become now an addition to the trail. There is a potential of having, actually I just saw somebody run by in the distance. There's potential of having this become a connected piece officially. So there's been talk about that. I'm gonna head this direction down this little service road, which is also part of the trail. There used to be exercise units through here. They have since been removed. They were old and not being used as much. Some of them were broken. But now it's kind of back down into a nature trail again. We have this little spot over here, which we've proposed to put a nice bench so you can have a little bit more of an intimate area to sit and reflect. It's nice and shaded, so in the summertime it won't be as hot, but it's kind of a nice spot. Oh, there's is that a cormorant or an anhinga? That's an anhinga. So he's not really happy with us. He's a little upset that we come in behind him. I'm gonna back up a little bit, but it's a beautiful bird right here on the edge, sitting on the wax myrtle. So anhingas are really amazing birds and really good for reflection because they literally spend their lives on 3 levels. If you think about it, they swim underwater. They literally fish and flap and swim underwater, completely submerged for a couple minutes at a time, catching fish and things underwater. Of course, they can be on top of land, like you're seeing sitting in the tree here, and they can also fly. So the natives used to look at this bird and honor it for its ability to live in 3 worlds, or if you want 3 different perspectives of life, which I find very fascinating. So that's nice, the little cormorant that was here for us in this little video. I'm gonna turn around, I'm gonna walk back this direction, and this little service road continues to turn around to the left. And it's a long straightaway where it actually ends up at the entrance of the amphitheater where the bike racks are. So as you can see down the road, the service folks in the amphitheater use it often. You can see tracks all over the place. But often when I've walked this trail, I've seen raccoon tracks and all kinds of different critters crossing this path. It's a beautiful thing I call the first written language, if you may. So tracks are a pretty amazing thing. You can tell a lot about an animal or even a person by looking at their tracks. So we're going to continue walking. I'm going to pretty much turn this off at this point. So there's a lot to see out here. It's really worth checking out. I hope that you come out to the Amphitheater Arboretum, which is a Parks and Rec trail that we share with the amphitheater, and maybe support us in that idea of a wellness walk. We'd like to have a self-guided trail, maybe a couple little subtle signs that give you some ideas about some of the things that I've talked about. And I really only touched the surface. There's so much more that you can explore with the symbols of nature, and I really highly recommend that you spend some time in the woods. It's not as scary as a place as a lot of the old stories say that it is. In fact, I found it's probably the most trustworthy place. You know, animals really, they follow their own rules and follow their own path. But if we can learn those paths and learn those rules, then we don't have to be scared. We can actually go out and enjoy it and maybe even help make it a little better. So I'm going to circle again, one more pass through so you can see the exit and where I am. Right at the sidewalk of the amphitheater trail, right at the entrance where the market, farmers market happens. And there's A1A right there. So I'm going to pan back so you can see the trail. Thank you for walking with me on this attempt to a virtual tour. It's the first one, and I hope to see you on the trail.